So just briefly, my name is Shenzhan Liao. I'm the head of the School of Chinese Studies at China Institute. Sherman mentioned, well, you've been to China Institute other programs, so you know a little bit of China Institute. I'm just curious, Karen, have you been to China Institute's program before?
Yeah, I participated in a couple of like events at your location. That's about it.
Great. So that would save some time for me to introduce all of the history and everything. So it's great to especially deepen the connection with families was through our early school year program, which is the focus of today's session. I myself, I've been with China Institute for over a decade, too long, maybe. But it's really, I feel, for learning about Chinese language and culture, I have great colleagues to work with, and also the whole environment of China Institute being here in New York for over 95 years is really, we are looking forward, well, to bring the rich history, the resources, and open the door, especially to our youngest generations. So I was studying at Beijing Normal University and came here, Teachers College. One of my colleagues actually is my alumni here today as well. So it's really, I feel over the past more than 12 years with China Institute to see the early school year program, we are bringing it to life in this special time. Is really something special. So, and again, I thank both of you to be here with us virtually today. I want to introduce two of my colleagues. Perhaps Ms. Xiao, would you introduce yourself a little bit? Ms. Xiao is the director of our children and youth program, including the early school year program. So I will turn to Ms. Xiao first, just very briefly.
Thank you, Shenzhen. Everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to our program. It's Yonglian Xiao. I'm in charge of Children and Youth Program at China Institute. I have been teaching in early childhood education, both China and America, for over 30 years. So if you ask me, what do you do? I just say, I only can teach kids and the Chinese, nothing I can do else. And before I came to the United States, I taught in a teacher training school. So my students will become teachers in kindergarten and elementary schools. Then I also pointed out be a director for kindergarten, which was the first kindergarten in China over 100 years. It's very patriarchal. So I was the director there for over 15 years. Then I came here, I got my master's degree in early childhood education, master's degree. And then I work in different public school and private kindergarten preschool for many years. Then I joined China Institute. So now I'm here. I work with all the kids and the families to help the kids to study Chinese, to give them a seat, to bear a seat in their heart to like study Chinese and the Chinese culture. So I'm very happy to be here to work with all the parents. If you have any questions, I'm very happy to answer to help. Thank you. And now we will introduce our another colleague, Zeyu Feng. She is the alumni with Shenzhen, both graduated from Columbia University Teaching College. So now, Zeyu, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Xiao 老师. Hello, everyone. 大家好. I'm the program assistant of Children and Youth Programs. I received my MA degree in applied linguistics. So I've been studying and practicing in language teaching for several years. And I've been trained to teach Chinese and had experience teaching Mandarin to undergraduate students and children. and I'm very happy to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunyi. Thank you. After we introduce the people here, I did put a few slides to share with regard our program. So just to give me a few seconds, I will share my screen. If you have any questions, since we have a very intimate audience virtually today, so just feel free to jump in, and we can take as much time as we want to talk about the program and address your questions. Just give me 1 second. So everybody can see, right? Good. All right. So since both of you have been to China Institute, I probably can skip the part to introduce China Institute in general, but I do also want to point out with regard our early school year program. This is a immersion program in Chinese, Mandarin Chinese, and also for early childhood education. There are practical benefits. I'm sure both of you share those benefits regarding young children learning another language and being bilingual, from cognitive development, their social emotional development, while the brain function to be able to work in more advanced at the executive function, and of course, the language development, which is part of everything that interconnects all of these developments at the younger age. I have an article that published on Education Update, the local newspaper, and also it's available on China Institute's website that I would be happy to share with you, that has been elaborate more the benefits of learning, especially Mandarin Chinese, since it is a language that's very different from Roman language that predominantly are more familiar here. And of course, China Institute, as we know, not just a language, it's a cultural home for Chinese culture in New York City. So like Ms. Xiao mentioned, we are teaching children Chinese language, but also we are building this connection to the culture that we want that to be part of their life in the long run. So sitting where we are, and we are really at the cross-cultural understanding bridge, it's on the one hand, we are rooted in Chinese language and culture, and on the other hand, really looking at the global community that we prepare our children for. So this part I will just skip. But this part, we are still building out our new location. This is the entrance from 100 Washington Street that will be open, and the door will lead up to the second floor where our classrooms for early school year will be. I'm sitting on the second floor, and I will actually later show you through the video how that you can visualize our space and the classrooms. As you know, that we are not just a language program, we're not just a school. For over 95 years, this is one strength that we feel having an early school year program for younger children is particularly, we are in the right position because we are providing an entire environment related to China. This is our art exhibition, which presents the best, the finest Chinese art, authentic art from China in the United States for over 50 years. This was the first exhibition that we had in our new location. And from fine arts to folk art, and also to educate children how to interact with the folk art and fine arts as well. We have workshops. During Chinese New Year, for example, we had the Chinese New Year print made and will teach children and families how to make that. So all of this cultural environment, when we are talking about creating an immersion program, especially the immersive environment that would inspire children to see the meaningful connection with the language, especially the language that will outside of the classroom, or maybe summer occasions at home, that they don't see the connection with the language, the immersive cultural environment is particularly important. Well, we have many courses. It's not just for children, it's the continuation that when we are talking about the importance of the environment, we have many classes for adults as well. This is actually calligraphy written by one of our senior lecturers, Ben Wang. The point is, we're not, of course, at the young age of early school year for 3-year-olds. We're not there. But to have that environment, to even just visually, or the children will have these type of calligraphy available in the environment, is something that they can get familiar with, and also to be integrated into their experience here. We do have many workshops that will be part of the curriculum going into the early school year program. This is one example that we have published children's books related to the Forbidden City, made it accessible and fun for children at various ages. So we take these workshops to different schools, and of course we will integrate that into our own curriculum for the young children. Last but not least, this is a last year during exactly this time, the fall, the 中秋节, the Mid-Autumn Festival. Around this time last year, we had a big festival in our building, and celebrating Chinese food, and we painted this painting outside of our window in the street. The point is, we make Chinese culture visible in our community, in the neighborhood, especially the neighborhood our children may recognize, well, it's part of their life. And to see Chinese culture being part of their regular life, normal life, as what we remember from last year, is also extremely important, because, well, then that association with the language and culture is not just a particular classroom, or not just at home. It's a larger community and context that will make sense. So of course, well, with the with current situation, we do have online options for children. Our youngest student online with us, actually, you can see in the picture, Bella. She when she first started, it was during actually April, so she was only 18 months old. Now several months already passed. Well, she's still with us. She's actually in Monaco. So it's an option, but our early school year program we are talking about in January, it's going to start on site. We don't have a full program because we do want to start the program with the on-site activities and classes. So the early school year program will be a new program at China Institute. It's the first time that we are opening from the morning till the afternoon, a full day program, Monday through Friday, throughout the year. But it's not our new experience. In fact, we've had our after school programs for various children at different ages, as well as a summer program. That's also a full day program as an option, and Monday through Friday. So all these years of experience, that we feel, we are excited that we can bring that to our youngest students through the early school year program. So just as a full picture of what will we offer for children at different age, and also where the early school year program would be positioned, you can see from this map that we started the Mandarin Munchkins, that's a mommy and me or parents and me type of program, starting with 18 months. And then the early school year program, this year we are really, for the winter and the spring semester, we are aiming for the younger children, 2.5 years old to 3, around that age. And then we are continuing this program and then building that up towards our preschool. And that's going to be differentiated into 2 different age groups, nursery and pre-K. And after that, well, our program for children would be focused on the after-school program. Those classes will be from 4 to 5:30 for different age groups and also at different proficiency levels. So each class will take those 2 criteria in order to put the children in the right class, the right age group, and the right language levels. And then during the summer, we will continue our summer immersion day program. That's a 6-week program. And for older students, high school students, we have had summer study in China that would continue their immersion experience, not only here in New York, but also taking them to China. And you can see the family trip to China with China Institute for 5 to 10-year-olds. That hasn't come to life yet, but that's the plan as well. We build our early school year program, the preschool, and the children in our after school programs. Well, we could really work with the family to make that immersion experience in China coming early or earlier than the high school. So this is the full picture of the path. I know while we especially for parents taking the time and also invest into the early school year program or preschool, the goal is a long-term goal. It's not just for these 2 years, it really is looking, the goal is to have the language and the culture being part of the child's life later on. So we are here at different age and different stage to provide that kind of support. So specifically for the early school year program, I would invite you to picture a program for the age, for the students at the age group around 2.5 and 3 years old, but to really explore different aspects of any subject, any content, from art to math, science. We do have a curriculum focused on STEM exploration for young children, to focus on, especially at the early age, their growth and fine motor skills, and through many activities, games, projects that they can develop. We are developing the holistic children. So that's all going into the, to contextualize that, children will be immersed in the Mandarin Chinese environment, including when they are developing their social emotional, through that social emotional skills, while by interacting with their peers and with teachers, with their guidance, these will be entirely in a Mandarin Chinese environment. And of course, literacy or early literacy, even though at this point, children are not expected to be able to write a lot, but to introduce Chinese characters and to get familiar with the pictographic language that's very different visually and how it works in the language. compared to English or other languages, that can start as early as 3 years old. So the early school year program, we will introduce Chinese characters so that children will develop the interest, the very beginning, the preliminary understanding, and also to start to have fun with some images and also developing that into characters. As I briefly mentioned, culture will be a big part, and also being here, we are really looking at the cross-cultural, whether it's the traditional story that has been really rooted in Chinese culture, the Monkey King series as an example, but there are many other stories that we will introduce to children, and through the fun activities that they will start to get into the characters and the cultures that they can have developed that kind of interest. And of course, the stories that children in general here are familiar with, that will be also introduced in Chinese language as well. So really, we're talking about content that we can get from different cultures, but will be presented in Chinese language. And particularly, there is a part of the Chinese way of thinking about the world and understanding the world, and introduced in a way that can be understood and also can be tangibly learned at this age. For example, the solar terms, that's a different way of looking at time. This is an age that children start to develop their understanding of time. And of course, this will be designed in a way that children will have activities related to the seasons, related to the different time of the day, and develop that kind of understanding. I mentioned, we have the books that developed. These are the 4 books related to the Forbidden City. The point is not just to learn about the Forbidden City, but as a cultural icon and a symbol. Really, we are learning the history, the characters, and some universal values and attitudes. For example, this is the greatest place actually really explore the relationship between nature and the man-made world, the architecture, and how human beings or how us learn from the nature to build our space and have a harmonic relationship with, sorry. I apologize, I just disconnected my headset. So to explore the relationship between nature and people. And the other example, what was it like, Mr. Emperor, is actually, looking at the schedule of the young emperor, but also looking at, how to be responsible. So these are the universal values that we will integrate that into everyday teaching, but especially through the lenses of Chinese culture and the resources and the materials coming from Chinese culture. So as I mentioned, the literacy part, there are materials that specifically developed in terms of explore the image that children can relate to at this age towards the more abstract form of Chinese character, to start to explore that understanding and connection, which for later on, when we are talking about being fluent at later age, the ability to develop reading and writing and when children are older, extremely important to achieve the real proficiency. And of course, at this age is one important part is also to have fun with the language, with the culture, to start that sparkle like Ms. Xiao mentioned, to plant that seed in their heart, so that, well, they can be inspired, or they have that interest to continue to set their foot on this journey that could be long. We know that language, and especially a second language, whether it's a home language here or not, it's not easy to develop, especially not easy to maintain. But well, that seed of interest is we hope that it's the fire that can encourage all of us to continue. Yeah. So these are some of the, one part I feel with Chinese culture, we do have connection with many talents in the city from China. And well, there are many cultural heritage and traditions and innovations that what we can bring to our curriculum. So that, well, this is the unique part of the Chinese culture that what we can introduce to children in this program. And of course, with the resources available in the city, when we can safely travel to other parts of the city, and we will take advantage of those resources as well. Last but not least, our teachers. Ms. Xiao will be our lead curriculum teacher, and working very closely with our teachers and teaching assistants for building up and working with our community, especially with parents, to strengthen the curriculum so that it will be very much customized. We have very small class size, even with our after-school program. Our class is anywhere 4 to 8 children. And for this early school year, as well, we know we are in this very special environment. I will later soon show the classroom, one demo classroom that we will envision our children in this classroom that will be no more than 4 children in one classroom. So this is our space, but before I turn to the space, I will first stop here and see if any of you have any questions.